my hope is that people don't have to wait, that people nail it at 15, nail it at 20. But even if you're at 40 or 50 and you haven't nailed it yet, today is permission to go and actually start living in alignment what you were meant to do. And I just happened to start discover it recently. So, man, like everybody else, I'm still walking through the mud trying to figure it out as I go.
Our guest today is the owner of Balbert Marketing and is also the curator of the Real Business Connections Network, where he hosts 5 podcasts. Once an underdog, now a successful entrepreneur, he is passionate about helping other underdogs achieve their dreams. He's on a mission to move the needle 1 million careers, one conversation at a time. Welcome to the show, Ben Albert.
Mic'd up, Mike. I'm humbled to be here, man. I'm excited to chat with you today.
I know. I'm happy to have you. I just want to say thank you for having me on your show recently. I'm not sure which is going to come up first, but it's always cool to hang out with people who are like-minded. We're also sister cities, Buffalo-Rochester connection going on,
Yes,
little Western
sir.
New York. And you're a name that's been popping up on my radar for like a year. So the fact that we finally actually met virtually, face-to-face, it was inevitable. You know, I just felt like it was a matter of time. So super excited to have you here. I don't know your full story. Intentionally, I didn't do a lot of digging. I call it a skeleton. I have a skeleton of what I'd like to talk to you about. But the beautiful thing about Mic'd Up, Ben, is that I don't always know where we're going to end up in the conversation. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Our audience certainly would appreciate us having a real combo and not something that's too stuffy and overplanned. So I like to be somewhere in there, I talked about this on a recent episode. Entrepreneurs are kind of like quarterback, right? You know, in the face of adversity, you have to be able to move on your feet real quick. But I also feel like podcasting is a little bit like a quarterback, where you have your plays that you know you want to run. But when the defense looks a little different, you don't just run the same play if it doesn't seem like it's going to be the right play. So let's run the hurry up offense here. You ready to rock and roll? Let's do it.
Yeah, dude. Let's go.
You know, speaking of, the football, we're talking football. The Bills right now are powerhouse, and you're a podcast powerhouse, brother, hosting 5 shows. So I'd love to know, pick your brain for a minute here, what do you love most about podcasting personally?
Wow. I love everything. I've been joking that I'm the Josh Allen of podcasting. I don't know if I can live up to that. But
the shoes are getting bigger every week. So, man, that's a pretty big target.
Bigger every week, baby. Dude, it's shoot for the stars, man.
What do you mean by that, though? Like, obviously, Josh is one of the best in the game, so I can get that correlation. But do you mean like Josh is known to be, from a quarterback perspective, you know, he's a bigger guy, but he's not afraid to like take a linebacker head on, which I hate to see him do now in his career, because it's like, okay, you're a great quarterback. We don't want you taking those hits. But what was your connection? I'm just curious, is like the style he plays the game, or just the level that he plays it?
Yeah, so talking quarterbacks, I think it's a shame that the MVP virtually always goes to a quarterback. Cooper Kupp had an amazing season last year. I think he should have won MVP.
Absolutely.
That
doubt.
aside,
Yeah.
Everybody praises the quarterback, but the quarterback, really, their number one role is to make everyone else on the team better. A good quarterback makes everyone else on the team significantly better. So as a podcaster, I don't see myself as Josh Allen, as the big leaderboard. I actually see myself more as a Scottie Pippen to the Michael Jordan.
Yes.
It's my job as the podcast host, the podcaster, to make everyone I speak to look good, sound good, bring out their best so we can all show up as our best. And no one in the league does that better. Josh Allen makes everyone on the team look pretty darn good. And that's my goal. Not the accolades, not to win the MVP. Again, I'd rather be Scottie Pippen and make Michael Jordan look good, because I'm good being number 2.
Sure.
As a marketing firm, as a podcaster, my end game is making the thought leader, the business owner, making them shine. And if they shine, I look good while I do it.
Really, really well said. Yeah. Distribute that football. He does do that really well and get it out to different playmakers. He's not force feeding it just to digs. I mean, he'll open it up to the tight ends and the running backs. So I think that's really
and he
cool.
can make plays. And Mike, he can make plays on his own as well.
Right.
So sometimes you need an audible and run it in yourself, but you're not going to do that every play. I'm not Tim Tebow. I can do more than run.
Then Albert on the 5, on the 3, he's in, he dies, the pilot. Oh, I had another past life where I had a little announcer voice going on. Don't get me started. We'll have to watch a Bills game together. Hey, we could talk Bills for about another 5 hours, but I know our audience is here because they're interested in learning a little bit about podcasting, about marketing. And, if anyone hasn't tuned into you yet, we want to send them to your website, right? Which is balbertmarketing.com. It's BALBERT marketing. Again, like balbertmarketing.com. Don't worry even about spelling that. I made it clickable in the show notes. So it's super easy to connect with Ben, and all of his social media is there as well. However you want people to connect with you, we'll make that happen in the show notes. So talk again. So the podcast powerhouse, you mentioned that. I do agree with your analogy on that. But what aspects of podcasts do you actually enjoy the most? Can you share that?
So all of it. I was always a curious kid when I was younger. I was the smallest boy in school, quite literally the smallest boy, second smallest kid behind a little Asian girl, Olivia Lee. So when I was younger...
Thanks to Olivia, you're like, thank you, Olivia.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, so much confidence not being the shortest in school. Sean Jacoby was pretty short as well, but I wanted to be a freaking basketball player, and I had a jersey for every single day of the week. I don't remember washing them. I presume
Who
my
are your
mom...
top 5 real quick? Your top 5 jerseys. You mentioned Jordan and Pippen. Did you have those?
Jordan, I didn't have Pippen. Vince Carter was my number one. Watching him in the dunk competition when he blew that up, just blew my mind. So Jordan, Carter, Reggie Miller, John Stockton. I had like 3 Jordan jerseys.
Come on, Shaq Attack?
Didn't have Shaq.
All right.
Jason Kidd was another big.
Kidd. All right. So you like guys that are shooters, or also guys that can play under the net. That's
a good point. There's not many big guys on that list. So think about it. I'm a small kid. I'm scrappy. I'm talented. I think I'm going to be the next Vince Carter one day.
Yeah.
I was destined not to be an athlete. I was destined to be 5'7.5" on a good day. So needless to say, the reason I say this, Mike, is I'm a little kid. I get beat up. I get bullied. I get quiet. I get reclusive. I'm not the life of the party. I'm not the loudest person in the room.
Sure.
But I developed this love of curiosity. I developed this love of learning. What I know now, a growth mindset, growth potential. I was obsessed with getting better because I was coming from a place of lack. I was coming from bullied at school, not as good at sports as I'd like to be, abusive alcoholic father. And what I love about podcasting, to actually answer your question, is I get to live in alignment with curiosity, growth, fun, connection. There's a joke in psychology that a lot of people get in psychology and therapy because they're trying to figure out what's wrong with themselves. That's me. I got into podcasting because I wanted to try to figure out what was wrong with myself. And I knew that if I could ask and surround myself with incredible people that are 3 steps ahead of me,
right,
I can turn light years or years into hours, minutes, days, weeks. I don't have to take the 5 to 10 year trajectory. I went to school for communication studies. Podcasting, I swear to God, I have like a master's in business just from learning from people like you. So I'm obsessed with the connection. I'm obsessed with the growth, and I'm obsessed with the knowledge I get to obtain while simultaneously sharing that with a larger audience. I get a free consultation call that I would have paid $1,000 for, but since I get to share it with my audience, these people put their chips on me, and everyone's better for that experience. So freaking love podcasting, man.
Yeah, dude, I 100% agree. I mean, it's my best connections, my favorite people I talk to on a daily basis, and some of my best friends now have all come through podcasting, and literally November 4th, 2019 is the day. And it's funny, I know that day like as well as I know my birthday, because that's when I literally feel like there was a transition in my life where things turned for the better, and connections just have started flooding in. And it also led to business for me. I ended up, as you know my story, I don't want to take too much of the floor, but I ended up going from a media and marketing company and transitioning into a podcast business because I fell in love with it so much. And not only being on camera and having these engaging conversations and sitting back, like you said, and kind of letting the guests shine and learning from them and just taking a ton of notes and downloading all that information and applying it to business, I ended up falling in love with the production side of it because I have a media production background. You have a communications background, and we're kind of a shy kid growing up. You said you had a little bit, the cards weren't really all in your favor with your father. You just shared that story quick. I did not know that. So how did you eventually get from having kind of a communications background, which is almost a blessing and a curse, as you got your degree, but it's like, what do I do with a communications, degree, right? It's kind of he's got his communications degree. I kind of did it as well. Mine had I was a Bachelor of Arts, and it was in the category of media production. I mean, if you ask anyone else, they'll probably just call it a communications degree, right? So how did you transfer into turn it into entrepreneurship? I know you had a little bit of a rough story too with COVID, so share that with us.
Yeah, a whole lot of luck and a whole lot of, what's the word for it? I feel like it's all just been a blessing in disguise, because I went into communications. Literally, the number one reason was I did a lot of research, rataprofessor.com, and it seemed like communications would be the easiest major, the easiest to go into. There was very little math, and a lot of the teachers, the professors at the school were rated very attractive. So I was like, okay, let's go to communications. And the reason I tell that is not to make myself sound like a dirty dog. I had no vision. I had no purpose. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life when I was younger. I started smoking pot at a young age. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I started to detach from the education. But since the day I was born, it was drilled into me, you're going to go to school, you're going to go to get an education, you're going to be successful. And I don't disagree with that mentality, but it was always, what car are you going to drive, what house, what degree are you going to get, what job are you going to hold? And it was always just me following what my family and my peers told me I was supposed to do, what I should do. So I went and I got a degree in communications and completely didn't use it because I was checked out the entire time. End up working at a pharmacy is the first job I got out of college. Worked my way up where I was one of the managers at this pharmacy, which I'm sure I'm using communications, I'm using marketing, customer service, but I wasn't really following what I was learning in school. Sure. I wasn't really following that growth mindset that I had in my career. And I kind of hopped around to jobs, lost a lot of the time, just kind of doing the next best thing in front of my nose and not really understanding what I was meant to do or what's aligned with my purpose. I was doing what I was told I should do pretty much my entire life.
I just want to say real quick and jump in for half a second is I bet you 90% or more people that are nodding their head while they're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, because it's so true. We kind of grew up in a society that says the new high school diploma is now a bachelor degree, right? So if you don't have your bachelor's degree, on a resume, you're just putting yourself in this category that almost doesn't even get looked at. And now a lot of things are like, if you want like upper management or anything like that, there's master's programs and kind of forcing you to figure it out in school, opposed to get more of that experience, and then you can see someone has the talents or gifts for it, and then maybe sprinkle in some additional education to sharpen the tool. But it's like you got to kind of go all the way around, get this thing, come back, show it, and then start your career from the bottom. And I think internships are definitely something that is a big part of college for sure. And I'm not even knocking the school system. I have a lot of family members that are educators, and they're great people, and they have huge hearts, and I love what they do and how they serve. But I do feel like, there's a lot of people who have that same story. I had a similar story where I was going to college, and luckily in a semester, I was able to pivot. But, a lot of people can relate to that. And I love you, Ben, for the fact that you came out and just transparently were like, dude, I don't know. I mean, I was looking at the roster of teachers and some of them looked attractive, and I don't know. I just was I just had to fill up my 15 credit hours, right? And so I didn't want to do like advanced physics. So I took this communications class, and look where it's led you, man. Look where it's led you. There's so many people that you and I know in podcasting and entrepreneurship that are super, and I'll say the word successful, but that can mean so many different things to anyone tuning in. I mean, you and I probably have a different definition for success too, but people that are successful, I've found many of them that I admire that don't have a college education necessarily. That's not what qualifies them in my eyes to be someone great to inspire me. So off my soapbox for a second, back over to you.
Oh yeah.
And
I love the soapbox.
When did it change though for you, where you're like, this is not just something I'm doing to kill time. I'm going to actually be great in marketing and communications. When did that light bulb go off?
100%. I'm going to jump back on the soapbox. I'm not knocking college. One thing that was beautiful about communication studies is I studied philosophy, sociology. I studied psychology. I studied social psychology. I studied business marketing, things like that. So I got a real generalist amount of skills that I still utilize today. So yeah, I went to school, did the pharmacy thing, landed in a sales role for a marketing company, not even knowing what I was doing, but I just knew that there was a high commission potential, and they basically sold me a false bit of goods of what I was actually going to be getting into. But I got into sales, and I fell in love with sales simply just in the connecting with people, the persuasion. I was never a product pusher. I'm a problem solver.
Yes.
And finding solutions to these problems, finding solutions to problems people didn't even know they had was something that I was really, really good at. And I became obsessed with it because of my obsession with growth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the reason I kind of walk through all this story is first off, people always see the end destination. Like I got furloughed from work. I started a business. I started a podcast. Now I have over 200 episodes, and I make more money as an entrepreneur than I did as a sales executive in the course of 15 months. I replaced that income. People see that end destination, but I like to kind of slow down to speed up, because people see Josh Allen throwing the touchdown. They don't see the reps that he put in to get to the point where he is at today. Yeah. So one thing I didn't touch on is in high school, I became obsessed with music. So in 2016, I started a music podcast. It was a local show. It was called Rochester Groovecast, highlighting, live local music and events from Rochester, New York and the surrounding area. Because I was going to every freaking concert. I was going to the bar every weekend. And I realized, and there's nothing wrong with this, you need people in seats, buying drinks at the bar, et cetera, to have a business. But I was a consumer and not a producer. So that was really the first time I got smacked in the face, and I realized that I wasn't doing anything with my life, and I was out drinking all the time, and I was a consumer but not a producer. So that was the big tipping point. That was tipping point number one in my life that led me to where I was today. I started that podcast so I could actually add value to the music community. And in addition, I basically got into everywhere I wanted to for free. So it was a win-win for everyone involved, but never made money on it. I was still working at the pharmacy. Then I moved into the sales job. And then when COVID hit, as I mentioned, I got furloughed from work. Now, the reason I break down this entire story is I skill stacked all these experiences that I lost sleep over, cried over, blamed other people over, but really they were happening for me, not to me. Yeah. Because my weakness as a kid helped me kind of gain that curiosity and that growth mindset. I was obsessed with having fun. I was obsessed with promoting businesses, musicians. I was obsessed with handing out the flyers, building the MySpace pages. I liked advocating for a good thing. I had an appreciation of beauty and excellence. And I was constantly, at this time, reading, developing my sales craft, developing the marketing craft. I didn't want to sling products at the marketing company, so I was learning the how-to. So I was the salesperson, but I knew just as much as the marketing team because I was self-studying like crazy. So when COVID hit and I was in a really dark spot, and I'm going to skip 6 months because for 6 months I binge drank. I watched Netflix. I accepted a check. It was not good. We can go into how lame I was. It wasn't until September that I got going on my business. So from March to September, I was kind of just a lost child.
So good though, Ben, that you shared that, man. I really appreciate you sharing that because you're real, dude. And that our audience will appreciate that forever. I appreciate you for coming out and saying it because,
Thanks,
you know, it was such a difficult time for a lot of people. And I don't know if, you know, someone listening can relate to that part of the story. But I think we all were kind of lost and reeling of like, we don't know if something was bad in the moment, how long it was going to stay bad. The great part of your story is that you just reflected on it and already started to tell the story of these things were happening for me. And I love the fact that you're taking it all the way back to like you were working at a pharmacy and all these different career positions that maybe at the time you're like, what the hell am I doing with my life? But now as an entrepreneur, you're starting to look back and go, wow, these are all these like different arms of my personality traits and the way I break things down and dissect things. That was actually building up character, mindset, you know, theories, all your Swiss Army tool belt was being built that you didn't even realize you needed or wanted. And I think that's cool. And then, dude, you got punched in the mouth and it took 6 months to bounce back. But look, dude, you're here on the other side of it. So yeah, pick that back up. But I want to make sure that you give yourself some love for a moment too. And even if it's after this episode, that you got through that moment. And hey, it's just all it is now is part of your journey, part of your story.
Thanks, man. And I do need to give myself, I checked right before we jumped on. Today that we're recording is September 14th. It's actually my mother's birthday. My mom passed away 4 weeks and 6 days ago.
Man,
so
no way.
5 weeks from tomorrow. So I was almost in tears coming onto this call. But part of why I came onto this call is because it's not to talk about myself, but it's to tell my truth and tell my experience and be open to be vulnerable, realizing that the listener might need to hear it. And it's not about me. It's about what I've learned and how that they can take these experiences and implement them into their life. Because that's exactly what my mom would have wanted me to do. She would want me to be comfortable with the fact that I'm not perfect because she saw me as a shining light, sunshine, perfect in every single mistake. She still put her chips on me and supported me. So it's my job to be honest with that vulnerability and put my chips on the listener because they've made mistakes, but I guarantee that they can be successful. You had mentioned, you know, all these things in life. I see them as bricks. So success, a failure, a struggle, an experience, you still take it and you lay a brick because every failure and success are bricks in the home that I'm building. They're bricks in the foundation that I'm building. So when I was furloughed and then I had a rough time and I was binge drinking similar to my father who binge drank himself to death, quite literally died at a very young age because of his alcoholism, I had to pinch myself and slap myself in the face because I knew what direction I was going into. And I took all these things we talked about and I stacked them. So growth, connection, love of podcasting, love of promotion, love of connection, love of learning. I started a business podcast. I started my marketing company. That's another thing I love about podcasting. The podcast allowed me to, one, connect with the right kind of people and two, learn from the right kind of people. So a business owner, entrepreneur who's, other than the music thing that I did on the side, has never had an entrepreneurial freaking anything in his life. Yeah. Because of all these life experiences, I were able to stack the skills. Yeah, man, like if I were to do what I'm doing right now 5 years ago, I would have failed.
Right.
Now, it would have still led me to today. If I were to do it 10 years ago, it would have only lasted 7 days. But because of all these life experiences, I was in the position to actually show up in my truth. And my hope is that people don't wait until a freaking pandemic and then you hit 30 and you're in like some like third of your life crisis.
Yeah.
My hope is that people don't have to wait, that people nail it at 15, nail it at 20. But even if you're at 40 or 50 and you haven't nailed it yet, today is permission to go and actually start living in alignment with what you were meant to do. And I just happened to start discover it recently. So, man, we had mentioned Final Destination. I'm just freaking like everybody else. I'm still walking through the mud trying to figure it out as I go.
Dude, mic drop moment. Ben Albert, holy smokes. Thank you for dropping that.
One.
And there it is. Boom, he drops it. I love that. That's a good idea. I just want to say, dude, there's some stuff in there I want to dissect. We're going to take a quick 2-minute timeout, give our sponsors some love, and we'll be right back with Ben Albert of Balbert Marketing. We'll be right back.
Podcasting is a great way to engage with your audience and stay consistently relevant. The only problem is you don't have the time or desire to produce your own show. You simply want it done for you, and that's where Social Chameleon comes in. All you need to do is press record and upload the files. We'll handle the rest. From planning, production, post-production, distribution, and digital marketing, we have you covered. We realize that times are tough and funds are tight, and Social Chameleon believes in building supportive business relationships. By clicking on the link in this promo, we'll provide you 7 free podcasting tips to get started, as well as a free 30-minute online consultation. This is the perfect opportunity for entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, industry experts, influencers, and anybody who has a personal brand. With Social Chameleon, we help you build a brand that is out of this world. We're ready and waiting, so what are you waiting for? Click on the link to get started today. Hey guys, it's Mike. I'd like to give a proper shout out to Navigator Bookkeeping. Look, for a long time, I ran my business without really understanding the full financial picture. I used my gut and my bank account balance to make decisions, which led to some poor choices and constant stress over my business's finances. I knew something needed to change. At the beginning of 2021, I made a decision that helped pave a more clear path for my business. I started working with Navigator Bookkeeping. Since then, my bookkeeping has been handled for me. I now understand the full financial story of my business, making important financial decisions much easier now, and it helps me plan for where my business is going. I highly recommend giving Navigator Bookkeeping an opportunity to help your business. Check them out at navigatingyourbooks.com. Again, that's navigatingyourbooks.com. It's time to know the full financial story of your business.
All right, we're back in action with Ben Albert. You guys can connect with him on social media, of course, and all of the links are clickable in the show notes. And right before we took that break, Ben just shared some heavy stuff with us. He dropped some gold as well. He literally dropped a mic drop moment. And I just love that, you shared your purpose with us, that you started to turn all these things into your Swiss Army knife that you didn't know you needed or wanted, like I said. And also, you had this devastating situation, which a lot of people can relate to, losing a family member. Your mom had passed away about 5 weeks ago, you said, right? And so I just want to let you know that, and I'm just sending you a lot of love. And I want you to know that your mom is definitely proud of what you're doing. I know she already was previous to passing away. And now, every time you have a win, it's a little bit more sweet because you can share it with your mom anytime, and if you want to share anything else with our audience that may be going through something tough or whatever you'd like to share, the floor is yours.
Yeah. One thing that'll always bring a smile to my face is her last 2 Facebook posts. And she was active on Facebook. A lot of times it was political memes and stuff that a lot of people didn't really agree with. And if her last post was something polarizing, maybe I wouldn't have liked that. Her last 2 posts, her last one was actually on my father's birthday. She posted a Frank Zappa video.
Wow, okay.
He was a weird guy. He was obsessed with Frank Zappa. So she posted a, I Love You, Barry, Frank Zappa video. Wow. And the post that she had posted before that was actually resharing a podcast that I was on. And I bring that up not to be like, oh, I'm so cool. She was my biggest fan. And one thing, I don't know much about the religion, but my friend Assad is Hindu, and he was explaining to me that now she's actually watching and still cheering me on, and she's with me more than ever. In their religion, it's a blessing that she can now, pray for me daily. And I'm not Hindu, but just the thought that she's my biggest fan and she's still going to be my biggest fan, and now she gets to join my father wherever they may go. It's kind of badass. She's at peace now.
Yeah, man. I know it's really tough. Of course, we'd always say, you want to spend more time with your parents, and you just don't know when the time is going to come. That goes for any age, thinking about my brother, thinking about my sister, my daughter, of course, who's young, she's 7 years old. Like I think about myself,
Yeah.
I don't know, something happens to me. How is everybody else set up to be okay? And I know this is a tough conversation, but it's one that, that's why I do this show. It's not just to talk business all the time. It's not only entrepreneurship. This show is about life. The other stuff are elements of life. And this show is definitely about life and handling adversity and being able to come out of it with the right perspective. Something that I talked to another guest yesterday about was that we get to choose happiness and the lens that we look at things. And like when something devastating happens, we certainly live in the moment of feeling that hurt and everything. And that's natural and normal, and you should. And like I was telling you a little bit off camera with my dad's situation, I think I stomached and tried to almost not address it immediately or even in the months after that, because I did not get a chance to say goodbye to my dad. And I really had a hard time with the whole situation. And, but it's like now putting a lens on, like, okay, there's no magic trick to bring mom back, but we can certainly appreciate now that she's with you in all your moves, decisions, wins, losses. She's with you, brother. And so is your dad, of course, and anyone else that's love. So, what I like to do, I know we both have about 6 minutes together, and we can always do this again. And I just love that we connected finally on a deeper level. This was meant to be and meant to happen. I'm taking a page out of your playbook. Talk football again for a second. So you did a little rapid fire. I haven't done that really. I tried it the other day, but then each question ended up going into like a 20-minute tangent. Let's try to actually rapid fire so we can get this thing locked in here. We're going to rapid fire, spice it up here. I picked out some interesting ones. A couple of them are kind of standard. There's about 10 here. You ready to dive in?
Yeah, I'll keep it rapid. I have a rapid fire round, but I'm not good at the rapid part.
Let's try it. Here we go. Let's do it. Rapid fire here on Mike Duff. All right. Favorite book?
Oof. I'm already stumped. Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod.
Great choice. Would you rather be skiing or snorkeling?
Snorkeling.
Same here, brother. Something unique about you. Maybe you haven't shared yet or we don't know about you.
I am a music festival junkie. If I can be outside camping and music simultaneously, I'm the happiest man in the world.
Yeah, you and me both. Let's do a festival sometime.
Let's go.
I like to be up on stage. I get the itch to play. I'm a drummer. Favorite location you've ever visited?
Austin, Texas this year.
Cool. I have not been there. Awesome.
Not my favorite, but
what's your
be rapid?
Yeah. What's your greatest fear?
Dying. Heights because it could lead to death.
There you go. Yeah. A little bit later question. Favorite movie?
Forrest Gump.
Yes. All right. I dig that. That movie taught me how I learned that I had emotions I didn't know I had as a kid after watching that. And I had a crush on Jenny when she was little because I was like the same age as them when the movie came out. All right. What's the best compliment that you can receive personally?
You gave me permission to be human, to be myself.
Yeah. It's awesome, brother. If you could be any animal, what would it be?
Owls are wise, so maybe an owl. Definitely would want to be something that could fly. I want to be able to move quick.
That's cool. You know what? I could picture your next iteration of Balbert Marketing having like an owl on it. That'd be cool.
Okay.
There you go. Let's get you a mascot. What's your greatest natural skill?
Greatest natural skill? Being unskilled. Is that an answer?
It is.
Everything I make up grit, resilience, and learning is what I make up for in things that maybe didn't come naturally.
Sure.
So I guess
I get what you're saying. So the fact of not having natural gifts made you work harder and everything else, and that became a skill of kind of just being able to do more with less. That makes sense.
And I'll never be the best at one individual thing. I'll never be the best at one individual, and I don't need to be. I can be the best me at any little thing.
Reminds me of the basketball reference too. Like some guys grow up and gals grow up and they're just freaks on the court, right? Maybe they got size, but they don't always have the heart of a Jason Kidd. he was shorter, right? Wasn't kid, well, maybe 6'1", 6'2", but in basketball terms,
3 or 4.
Oh, so he wasn't that short. Okay. I always pictured him being a little smaller, but maybe it's just because when he stands next to Shaq, he looks small. But
Everyone does.
one more for you, and then I got like a final question. This has been awesome. You've been so much fun to chat with today, and I'd love to have you on again in the future. We can always catch up outside of the show as well. So if you could time travel to any place, any time, where would you go?
Dude, what comes to mind right now is just the 60s.
Yeah.
And
Woodstock,
it's glorifying.
Right?
Well, I want to go to Woodstock, even though there was no water, no food, and everyone was on drugs and dehydrated. So it actually probably wasn't as nice. Honestly, man, I'm happy with where I am right now. It's really sexy to imagine myself in the 60s. It's really nice that I'm a white male, that I could go back in time in different generations. I'm lucky in that regard. Realistically, man, I don't think the world's ever been a better place, a more progressive place. So I'm happy where we are today.
That's so good, man. And I don't think we've ever talked about that on the show. A lot of times, this is just something real quick, is we always, the grass seems greener on the other side, right? I've had that feeling with different companies I've been with where I make a transition and I'm like, now this is even worse than the other move we've made. But, you can get in a DeLorean and think, I'm going to go to like the 60s, but then you might be in a situation where, like, wherever you are in the 60s, they're not forward thinking like they are today, and you're just miserable because you're around a bunch of people who are, either treating you a different way or the work conditions are worse or whatever it might be. You don't know where, but really good point. And then also, I appreciate you saying that, because we're still in a place, unfortunately, in 2022 where people are not choosing love the way that we talk about, and they're
right.
The end racism is still a problem, and it's frustrating. So yeah, very good, off the top of your head. With the last minute, you're the author and protagonist in your own life story, brother, and you get to write the ending. God willing, you continue to live a long, prosperous life. You're looking back, now you're reflecting on it. You get to define your legacy. What would that be?
Moved in the word I use is actually moved. Actually moved the needle on a million careers. And through the collective impact, that's going to reach billions in the long term. Right. I don't need to be on a history book. I don't need to be remembered. I don't care if I get a trophy as long as we reach a solution together.
Right.
But if I can help move the needle on, it doesn't have to be 1 million. It'd be cool. Even 10,000, even 10 people.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
It's raising the Lombardi, but it's looking at the other 52 guys and knowing that because you were part of that team, that squad, that 52 other people, and plus all the other coaches and people and fans and everybody who tunes in that was inspired by that moment is better off because of what you did in life. And you've inspired me. So add me into the one in 1 million. And knowing how podcasting has grown like crazy, and that you got 5, and next time I talk to you, you'll probably have 25. No, I don't think you should do that. I mean, you'll definitely, unless you can clone yourself. I think what you're doing now is in your calling, and I love to see you just keep going, man. Keep pushing forward. You're doing it, and I love your story because, again, no part of it was handed to you, gifted to you. You worked hard for everything that you got today. Be super proud of it. Take a second after this call to reflect and appreciate yourself, to look in that mirror and remind yourself that you are great, brother. I always say 2 things to end every show. And I know you're both of these because you have a gratitude line that says gratitude sells, right? So we'll tag that and show off some of the merch quick. Gratitude sells. And you know what I have?
If you want more income, if you want more abundance, show more love.
Show more love. But don't do it with I'm going to just love this dude or gal so I can sell something, right? Obviously, when you're genuine, that's what will sell, right?
Yeah, that's not love.
That's not love if it's not genuine. I'm going to leave you with 2 things, Ben. First of all, thank you for being with us, but be great and be grateful. And I know you do both of those things extremely well. Love you, brother. Thank you so much.
I'd like to give a huge shout out to everyone for tuning in, especially those who listen all the way to the end to hear this message. Seriously, I appreciate you, and my guests do as well. Giving a quick reminder to subscribe to this show. It's completely free and will allow you to receive notifications when new episodes are released. If you'd like to provide a tip as a gift, you can do so via patreon.com/mikedup. It's spelled MIKED up. Patreon.com/mikedup. You can give as little as $1 per month or as much as you'd like. Every dollar is greatly appreciated and completely unexpected. Appreciate your reviews and your messages coming in on social as well. Keep them coming. Your feedback is valuable and absolutely means the world to me. You can check out more episodes and content at mikeduppodcast.com. We're powered by Social Chameleon. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, and it's at Mike DiCioccio, MIKEDICIOCCIO. Thank you so much for your continued support. You guys know what to do. Be great and be grateful.